Arising from a personal experience, Tola Makinde, moved by the plight of children born with disabilities, most especially Down syndrome, was inspired to set up the Moyinoluwa Rainbow Foundation, an NGO with a focus to drum up awareness to the causes of Down syndrome and advocacy for early intervention to help these children.
We had long awaited the birth of our baby girl, our world, our princess, and our little angel that'll just be like mommy. It was a very cool morning in April in the year 2011. As we all waited in anxiety, I sensed a little problem during the birth. What had happened to my angel? It was a very unusual experience. I couldn't wait to behold my angel. Why didn't she cry? I asked the doctor as I left the delivery room. I noticed the long faces the midwives, doctors, and nurses wore. Where is my baby? I love to sing songs of thanksgiving to God after a wonderful birth as such, but I was blank, shaky, worried, and speechless. I didn't even remember we ought to give thanks in all things. Please, it was difficult. I did not set my eyes on my little innocent bundle for over 24 hours. What the heck was going on? The room was silent as a nurse came in with my baby. In my arms, I carried, cuddled, and kissed my bundle. The doctor came after 72 hours and offered his diagnosis. Dr. Ola, I remain ever grateful to you. Guess what? The fact still remains that the baby had been born. We rejoiced and pretended all was well. You know what? All was going to be well because we believed God. The shock, grief, hopelessness, heartbreak, and helplessness sent shivers through my system as I mentioned with regret the condition my baby was born with. It was like the whole world was crumbling down on me as I stared at my precious baby girl with eyes filled with tears. Our hope and expectation was suddenly dashed. Forgive me to liken this to one's heart hitting a rock. Oh my God, you can't imagine the feeling. 1,001 questions ran through my head with no answers. Will she survive? Why me? Today, I thank God because I can ask, why not me? And I also tell the story as I've come to realize that from grief and heartbreak, we had moved up to hope and a mended heart again and again. It was very difficult, very hard to accept the fact that Mui had Down syndrome for a while. This was obviously the denial stage, and thank God we didn't dwell there for too long. Mui had early intervention in the sense that I started physical and oral therapy for her as soon as I was a little strong. This was around 2 weeks old. In my supposed strength, I rolled down tears from my eyes morning and night, and of course, emotionally, mentally, and physically unstable. I resigned from my 11 years banking career with UBA as I was in for a challenge I never believed would face me like a monster. At 2 months old, I began to help her with eye and hand coordination, trying to work with the milestone chart I had, which compared other kids to kids living with Down syndrome. Moi eventually was diagnosed after a repeat echo to have a hole in the heart. One of those stories of children I usually read in the papers. Repeat echo was at 6 months and a successful heart surgery took place in India at 8 months. We returned from the States where we had been to seek for expert care and advice on how to care for Mo. Since I had keyed into early intervention with so much encouragement and support from my friends, brother and sister from another mom, Tunde Buki, they live in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a wonderful and refreshing experience. Coming back to Nigeria was so filled with so much nostalgia. It was like leaving what worked for what will not work. Nevertheless, God took control. Moi started preschool at the age of 1.5 years old, even though she could not walk. Physical therapy continued. Speech therapy began with joy. Then, it it got even interesting seeing more achiever milestones slowly but surely. Grandparents, aunties, siblings, and the management of the school where she attends, ST School, embraced Moyi with open arms, and love and understanding was obviously all she needed. Again, I said, thank you, God. Even in the brook, He has satisfied us with goodies. My parents, siblings, and husbands have been and are still a source of blessing and encouragement to me. Very few understand the condition, and about 85% of people around me always place the condition before the child, instead of the child before the condition. This actually didn't get me mad at them because I knew they were ignorant. Someone once said that I had a sick child, but I never let it bother me. Some persons also told me I needed to have another girl because Mo was incomplete. Then I knew that it's true they say ignorance is a disease. I never for once left the work of the therapist because I am and would always be Moin's first advocate. I would follow up every night with our lip drills, tapping, singing, clapping, whistle blowing, and all sort of activities you can simply classify as play therapy. These activities are usually result-oriented. This is what I call early intervention, all hands on deck. My mentor, Mrs. Owairo, and a couple of others, home and abroad, even often encouraged me, knowing how often I feel low, being that the 0 to 3 years is not the period to joke with. If that period is missed, then the benefits of early intervention will definitely elude one. Thank God for His grace. The stress involved cannot be underestimated. Talking about everyday therapy, reinforcement, the 100% attention you need to give to her and other siblings, it's not like the normal parenting we all know. It has the capacity to drain one. February 2014 was a month something strange happened to me. I met Victor, a 2-year-old with Down syndrome, and my whole life changed. It was as if I had never met a child with Down syndrome apart from Mo. Little did I know that it would be the beginning of my passion to bring out these wonderful ones and their families from obscurity to limelight. The hunt came with every passing day, so I withdrew from the crowd to check what was going on in my life. My peace was seized. I couldn't concentrate on anything again. Suddenly, I let it go, and a passion grew in me for the love of those kids. In the month of June, after Moi clocked 3, I started a blog and began to share my story. I went away for several months. I had found purpose. God spoke through my dear friend Bambo Akinyele, who lives in London, about what He will do through me to help children living with Down syndrome in Nigeria. Bambo was so much passionate about this and registered to be a member with the Down Syndrome International Center in the UK. I finally knew why God brought Moi. I got several confirmations from home and abroad and started home visitation when I returned to Nigeria. It was a very, very hard task. Precisely a year after, 2015 February, I went further to broaden my knowledge on care and support for special needs. I got interested in volunteering and met so many wonderful people during my course. During my stay in the UK, the name Moyinoluwa Rainbow Foundation was birthed on a cold afternoon as I looked up into the sky with so much questions going on in my mind, like, how will these things be? The rainbow signifies that there is hope and life continues after a diagnosis. The name has today been registered, and we have men and women of purpose partnering, volunteering, and working with MRF. At the moment, we need sponsors to help us achieve our goal. At the moment, we have 3 to 4 children and many others who are still ashamed of the condition in our community, living in denial, believing the kids are either a bad omen or weird humans. Children living with Down syndrome in Nigeria are seen as a taboo. Therefore, they are being locked up in their homes and never allowed to go out to have a normal life. We need funding to get a bigger place, do various workshops, create more awareness in various ways to let folks in Nigeria change their mindset about Down syndrome being a taboo. We therefore accept donations, receive grants, or assistance from individuals, trusts, foundations, and other charitable or philanthropic organizations in Nigeria and all over the world. If we don't do all this work set before us, then who will? We officially opened a help center, a therapy center on the 9th of August. My family and a few friends have helped us so far. We are committed to going as far as the grassroots to liberate people living with Down syndrome. There is always a child with Down syndrome in every 864 births in Nigeria. The population of people in Amuwodofin local government is 1.5 million, aside from Satellite Town and Okota neighboring communities in Lagos, just by where we are located. We yearn for a community that would accept and remember them by way of making provision for them in whatsoever setting. We would create as many centers as possible in different communities, train and employ professionals. We believe in inclusion and also segregation by way of one-on-one therapy. We would achieve this through campaigns, seminars, workshops, conferences, thereby creating awareness to the public on the needs for equal rights and integration into the society. They deserve to live a good life too. We want to educate people to stop the stigmatization in our society and instead positively impact the lives of people with this lifelong condition. It's true they have several limitations, but we choose to see the ability in them.
That is a story of how Moyinoluwa Foundation was birthed from Tola Makinde herself. Driven by this passion, since inception and launch of the foundation, the outfit has been involved with different advocacy strategies to drive awareness. Some of these initiatives are the Parents Forum, a gathering where parents are sensitized on strategies to help children with special needs. This is the Parents and Carers Forum, so feel free to ask any question. There's no stupid question, and we might even be learning from you.
So this is a place where we should be able to be ourselves, interact, say the way it is. Of 3 months to 6 months, you will definitely start seeing results. So the music has been filtered to a level that even if there is no volume, it would still stimulate the ear and the brain health. That's basically what it is.
What I'm about to say is the aspect of the foundation, where Rainbow Foundation would like to come into this whole package. Like she was saying, because my heart goes out to those children. Imagine you have a woman that is a tomato seller, just had a baby with Down syndrome. Where does she start from? She might not even know this baby has Down syndrome, and that's why Rainbow Foundation, part of what we want to do is to continue to aggressively create awareness. We want to continue to shout about it, that we don't want those children to be stigmatized. We want to let everybody know that those children can have normal lives, they can have a good life, they can get married, they can go to school. Like she was talking about homeschooling. I believe so much in it. For me, the way it happened for me, my daughter started school at 1 year, 6 months. I don't even know, okay. It was because we just returned from the States and I had seen a lot as enough therapy. I have some videos. I was even asking questions. I did all the job training. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was taking pictures from when she was a baby. I was taking pictures, milestone pictures. When she was breathing as if she was going to die, I was taking her pictures. When she had sleeping apnea. Sleep apnea is when they're sleeping and they stop breathing. Then all of a sudden you see them like, So I got used to reading counting the calls, all this medical stuff.
Also, is the first walkathon which held in November within Festa community in Lagos State, which saw participants distributing flyers from 23 Road to First Avenue, where the foundation's care center is located, and proclaiming the message of acceptance and early intervention to residents.
Coming to early intervention, like from when they are born, I'm talking about 0 month for the baby. You begin by therapy, facial oral therapy for this child, for these children. You might just miss the first 3 years because that is so important in their lives. And for Moyinoluwa, she had gone around 5 different hospitals before she was diagnosed to have Down syndrome. For Ibukun, they never knew what it was. They thought they were being chased from the village. We're saying these children are normal. They just have an extra chromosome. You know, having one in my family, has really changed our lives. So we're telling people, don't be ashamed of this condition. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
So we need to raise awareness so that they can come out and come to Moyinoluwa Rainbow Foundation so that they can be counseled, given tips on how to take care of their children so they can live fruitful, normal lives.
Abnormalities in birth, but that doesn't mean that it's the end of the road. It's not end of life for such a person. The only thing is that we don't seek modern treatment information to go about treatment of such syndrome.
People to stop hiding their children at home, for people to bring out these children because they need various therapy. And early intervention is what we are preaching now. So when you've been told you have a child with Down syndrome, I tell myself it's okay to cry, but thereafter what do? What you need to do is to face it, stand up for your child, fight for your child. Nobody's going to do it for you. What's your name? My name! Moyi. Moyi. Okay. How old are you? I'm 5. Okay. Do you like to dance? Yeah.
So that's why the foundation aspect is coming in here. We're going to be meeting people, especially if you know people that cannot even afford to take care of these children. Come on, we are here for them. Hey, let's meet them. Let's see, okay, what can you do for this child? Because number one, you must be ready to help this child. You're the first advocate, and if you fail to help this child on time, it's going to be a big problem for you.
For Tola Makinde and the entire Moyinoluwa Rainbow Foundation team, also known as Mo Rainbow Foundation, the message of acceptance and early intervention, care and support for children living with Down syndrome is a message that requires haste because, as they say, countless children are out there who need help, and this is a mission they call upon well-meaning Nigerians, corporations and the government to please lend a helping hand financially and morally in giving these children a shot at a normal, self-sustaining life.